Hi everyone, my name is Andries and I'm a failure. I even got failure wrong, failing at failing, because typically they teach you that as an entrepreneur you fail first and then you learn and you get better and then you magically become a unicorn. Unfortunately, I've had 5 businesses and the first 2 was very successful and number 3 and 4 completely tanked. This is where you go, ah. All right. So we are going to do a bit of engagement. When I say something good, you're going to go, ooh. Let's try. That's good. And when something really goes bad, then I'm going to say, ah, and you're going to go? Ah. Yes. Okay, perfect. Don't feel too bad about or for me because my 5th business was a decent success. So you'll get there in the end, and I'm living proof of that. Today I'm going to talk about the 4th business and specifically the lessons that we learned from there. And it's something that we don't often talk about, timing. In sport, we spend our lives performing and practicing our timing. Whether you're a racing driver and you're taking a corner, or you're a cricket player and you need to hit the ball, you practice over and over and over again. How do you think about timing and perfecting it? But in venturing, we hardly ever discuss this. And the interesting thing is that if, and go and watch this TED Talk if you can, a guy called Bill Gross, in my opinion, one of the most successful entrepreneurs, he founded a venture studio called Idea Lab. They created 150 companies, of which they listed 45. 1 in 3. Exceptional. And in this TED Talk, Bill goes and he explains, he looked at all the different mechanisms and important factors of a startup, you know, from your team, the idea, funding, the founder relationships, all that kind of stuff. But the single most or highest predictor of success was timing. Were you at the right time in the market, and were there a very real challenge? So anyway, let me tell you a little bit about the business and how I completely got timing wrong. Ooh. Brilliant. So transport yourself back to 2008. We've just had the financial crisis. The world is coming to an end. And out of Silicon Valley comes this hero company called Groupon. Ooh. And it takes the world by storm, including my wife, becomes absolutely obsessed, subscribes to probably 50 emails a day, and I get to become an expert in foot massages. And I look at this, and initially I didn't pay much attention to this. I thought, look, this is just another spam machine, and the world will go over. But the hype doesn't stop. It keeps going up and up and up. And I keep looking at this. First mistake, I looked at it too long. I spent about a year thinking about group buying because there was something here. The notion of if we buy more, it should be cheaper is self-explanatory, right? And we do bulk buying always. So why wouldn't this work? But I didn't want to play in a very competitive space. So here was my bright moment of brilliance. I attend a hackathon. Ooh. In this hackathon, Eric Rice, if you remember correctly, at that stage just started blogging about the lean startup, and Silicon Valley was on fire, and we had startup weekends and hackathons, and boy, oh boy, this is going to be awesome. And I get equipped with this new thing called the business model canvas. And I start retrofitting the business model and I go, hallelujah, I found it. This is it. I'm going to do Groupon, but for small businesses. Where else would it make more sense? I mean, foot massages and spa deals is great, but actually small businesses pay up to 40% more for the same computer equipment, furniture, software, than their enterprise clients. Who needs it more? And sure it is, I start a company called SME Discounts. And we are almost nearly overnight an instant success. This was fueled by many things. This was absolutely at the top of the hype cycle within group buying. Every single newspaper, almost every single day, were featuring something about it. And there was a clue in our domain. The domain, which I bought for $17 on GoDaddy, was almost overnight worth $200,000 on its own. Because SME translates as startup or small business, and discount, hallelujah. It just all came together. Ooh. Right? And we're off to the races. Within 3 months, we sign up 150,000 businesses in the UK alone. If you understand that there are only 300,000 businesses in the small and medium, so more than 5 people in the UK in the company, it's just extraordinary. So much so that we believe that this is the one. This is the business that's going to take me all the way. We refuse funding. Ooh. Okay, hold that thought. We refuse funding and we keep building out. Initially, I started building sales teams to bring these deals onto the platform, hunting the big organizations like telco companies to offer deals. But in fact, what happens is because of our traffic, people start calling us, begging us to come online and to put deals in. At the same time, there was this gentleman called David Cameron in the UK, Prime Minister, and he commissions a report to be done on small businesses, and the report is absolute music to my ears. They claim that 61% of the British economy is based on small businesses. That means the government launches an initiative called Startup Britain, where they are trying to get every single Briton to do a startup. They buy something like 50 red buses, plaster Startup Britain on side of it, and drive through every little town in the UK you can imagine, signing up and registering companies literally there in the middle of squares in these little towns. And all of that just activates more and more and more traffic towards me. We were absolutely flying high to the extent where we got the privilege of working with some amazing people, including Sir Richard Branson. But this isn't a little session about victory, is it? Right. So this is where you get to hold your breath. Drum roll, please. In February 2011, I think it was the 23rd from memory, our good friends at Google released what they called the Panda update to the searching algorithm. And the reason why we benefited so much is every deal that we featured in every location, and I was pushing this out in 200 cities in the UK, was a separate web page. So before Panda, we ranked for almost 1,000 keywords. The next day, it was gone. All gone. Dried up right underneath of us. And of course, we tried to recover. We tried to pivot various different times. But for those founders that, like me, have tried to raise money counter-cyclical, so at that same time, what happened, of course, it wasn't just to us. The same happened to Groupon. And the media and the investor community went completely against the model. Group buying, or daily deals, as it was sometimes referred to, was crucified. It just, no investor would touch us. And we were trying to pivot, we were trying to change, but we just ran out of money. Oh, thank you. So here's the lesson of this. In hindsight, I spent about 2 years crying in my pillow as to how could I let this happen? How could I let the unicorn slip away? But in hindsight, I think the problem was timing. And it wasn't really the release of anyone else or any external factor. It was, I based timing on me. I started SME discounts when I was ready. I took too long. My definition of timing was, when was I clear on the idea? When was I ready to go out to market? Completely blinded by the fact of the realities of what's happening in there. Because rationally, we could have foreseen this. We could have foreseen that the hype will die at some point. We could have foreseen that free traffic isn't going to last forever, and you need to prepare your business to deal with that. But we didn't, because we just believed that everything is a fair wind and tracking us alongside. I hope that is insightful. The last thing I would say, and that I really hope you take away from this, is when you are doing your pitch decks, the one slide you need to spend 50% of your time on is the why now slide. Do not neglect that as a painful little last slide you do just because it's demanded of you in your investor decks. Thank you.